So as of late on this app, you know that liberal TikTok has been making a ruckus about anti-blackness on the left and how they're saying that we should not join liberation movements or the left because the left is anti-black, but they never talk about their own internal anti-blackness within their own institutions and their own circles. These circles being digital or in-person circles. After I'm done with this video, I will be showing that the call is most definitely coming from the inside of a black liberal household. So firstly, I will talk about the anti-blackness of our last Democratic administration, this administration being Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Firstly, going to start about Joe Biden's patterns of historical anti-blackness and systemic designated anti-blackness that he did while he was in Congress and also during his presidency and vice presidency. So this goes all the way back to the 1970s, in which Joe Biden literally fought with Dixiecrats and segregationists to keep schools desegregated within the southern states. Pause and read. So what we can see here is that Joe Biden literally supported Jim Crow. That's why I call him Jim Crow Joe. So my question to black liberals is, why do you all have an undying dedication and loyalty to someone who literally supported segregation and Jim Crow? And on top of that, Joe Biden is a neo-Confederate. Pause and read. What makes this even worse is that Delaware wasn't even a Confederate state during the Civil War. It was still a part of the Union. So this means that Joe Biden is misrepresenting history on purpose to galvanize racist support in the Democratic voter base. This is not even to mention that he literally bragged about the state's past as being a slave state. Again, pause and read. On to Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, during her 2019 campaign, compared policing to lynchings and the things that black people saw under Jim Crow. But during her 2024 run, she touted and was proud of her history as a cop and as a special prosecutor. Pause and read. So we can see here that literally all Democrats do is pander to black voting bases to steal black votes without giving any material substantive change to black material conditions, or doing anything to materially help the black community and liberate us from the shackles of capitalism and racism that we see from the empire. But I digress. Speaking of grifting and pandering and not being able to be morally consistent when it comes to anti-blackness and the systemic subjugation of black people, come on down to Raw to Real. This is because you've been one of the main heads of leading lib-talk in this whole discourse between black leftists and black liberals. But let's talk about your past and bring the skeletons out of your closet, sir.
Alright, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, now cross. Alright, there we go!
So we two-stepping with special prosecutors and cops and people who facilitate genocide and extrapolate resources from the continent as we speak. This is the same Biden and Harris administration that literally destabilized Somalia while financing Al-Shabaab. But again, I digress, but Kenny is not the end of it. Aren't you the same person that mocked Emmett Till's death and told Bernie Sanders, since he's so cheap and broke, that he should use Emmett Till's casket when he passes away? Mocking the unaliving of Emmett Till is a level of anti-blackness that I wouldn't even be able to fathom myself, and I would never ever think that would ever come out of a black person's mouth, especially a black person who's so against anti-blackness and someone who wants to lead the charge for black liberation and wants to actually do things to materially help the black community. But oh no. And then the thing is, I wasn't going to believe it until I saw it, but here it is. So this is for all the liberals and lib-talk in general. The rabbit hole most definitely goes deeper. So I will advise y'all to please leave CJ alone because I can go deeper, I promise.
You know, I partly blame that whole movement for taking Kamala Harris's campaign entirely and being one of the main elements that caused her to lose to Donald Trump. And the part that really just grinds my gears with these people is the very people who were trying to help you guys, you've bashed them. But now we have a president in office who is a full throttle Israel supporter. Nonstop. Doesn't give a rat's ass about any of y'all.
Hey, my name is CJ and I'm finna cook you. You liberals literally have no critical understanding and have no reading comprehension when it comes to politics and literary comprehension when it comes to what politicians are saying and the messages that they're trying to convey when they're running campaigns. You cannot gaslight us, and there is no amount of gaslighting that you can do to try to blame the election on Palestinians, because Palestinians are not to blame for Kamala losing the election. 10 to 12 million white Democratic voters stay home, white men to be exact, stay home because they saw no value or inherent benefit that they will get from a Kamala Harris campaign. And even if Palestinians were to blame for Kamala losing the election, they still wouldn't be the ones to blame. This is because Kamala Harris did not distance herself enough from Joe Biden. And Kamala Harris doubled down on being a Zionist multiple times and said that her support for Israel was unwavering. Pause and read. And for you to say that Kamala is not a full throttle Zionist, she has been receiving millions of dollars at AIPAC for the longest time. Pause and read. And this is not even to mention that Trump's policy on Gaza and Palestine is literally the same policy from Biden. He's just continuing it. The plan has always remained the same. Genocide Palestinians and ethnically cleanse them and remove them from the land to make it more enticing for Western investors. And I'm going to need you to please tell me when liberals/Democrats had ever tried to help the Palestinian people and tried to upseat Israel from its colonial seat in the Near East. Ding, 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 newsflash, they've never done that. This is because Democrats inherently serve the interests of imperialism and capitalism, and this is inherently what Israel fulfills in its role in the Levant. You all have to quit this A and B thinking about the United States politics and the political spectrum, because at the end of the day, when it comes to imperialism, especially Democrats and Republicans have the same exact mission. And we're calling Kamala Harris a war criminal because that is literally what she is. She said that she wanted the most lethal fighting force in American history as president of the United States. A part of being the president of the United States is inherently you have to be a war criminal and a white supremacist. This is what Kamala Harris wanted. Kamala Harris does not care about the needs or the wants of the working class. She serves capitalists and serves the billionaire donors who financed her campaign. She had more billionaires come out in droves in support of her than Trump ever did. And this is how I know y'all only show up every 4 years. If you all actually knew something, Elon Musk literally supported Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as the vice president during the 2020 election cycle. You see that these billionaires and the ruling class are literally playing in our faces. The only person to blame for Kamala Harris losing her presidential campaign is literally herself and her team. It is not our fault that she cannot break her Zionist ties and drop her addiction to literally bombing children and families within the Gaza Strip and within the West Bank.